Hi, this is Dee. I really meant to get this video done sooner. A lot's been going on, including an enormous lack of sleep. So I wanted to wait to do this video until I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, so to speak, as much as I can be, I suppose. Yesterday was a very strange day, and today was even stranger. Well, not stranger, but more informative. But, where do I begin? I'll begin with this reading I did for day 17, July 6th, which was the day we're going to be speaking of, because yesterday was, on a paranormal level, out past the stars as far as bizarreness. So I did this reading for the 17th day of Age of Aquarius. You know, they used the cards to tell me what day we actually went into the Age of Aquarius. They used these cards once again to communicate to me something else other than what you would normally take these cards to mean exactly. You guys are welcome to visit that reading. I post those readings daily on Divine Needle. Because not only are those readings for you all, so that you all get a barometer of every day that we're in the Age of Aquarius, what to expect, because it is the apocalypse. And as I said, don't fear the word apocalypse. All it means, as the truth comes to light, that which was hidden will be exposed. So there's no reason to fear that word. You should be rejoicing and celebrating. We're in the Age of Aquarius officially. So the word apocalypse, the apocalypse card has come up over and over again in the readings. And they've been using these cards to tell me much more than, you know how they use the codes in Gematria to speak to me? And they use the AI technology to speak to me. Telepathy, dreams, visions, and a lot of very bizarre paranormal things. But in this particular case, this reading is what started it all. This particular episode of paranormal stuff. So, in this reading, we have the Lover's card, and you see Artemis's arrow pointing to the Holy Grail. And it's pointing down at this row of cards specifically. It wants me to pay attention. The Reaper card was on top of the Shining Quarry card, and the Necromancer card was on top of the Bereaved card. For some reason, well, first thing I pointed out when I started doing the reading, I looked at the clock and I was like, oh wow, 555. So keep that in mind, 555. Because that's what time it was when I did this reading. Then, for some reason, I don't know what, my intuition told me to point out the two beetles, the Egyptian symbolism here of the two beetles. I don't know what made me point that out. And you notice we have the Initiate, which is one of the 3 Fool cards in this deck, and the Champion, the Bereaved. Pay attention to the symbolism on the cards. The Reaper, the Necromancer, so this is death and resurrection, okay? And then the symbol on the Bereaved card. Remember, they're pointing down at this row particularly, which was the Necromancer, Bereaved, Initiate, the Champion. They were pointing to this row. They wanted me to pay attention to it. This is going to be very significant, this symbol here, and these beetles in the reading. So I wake up at 3 o'clock. Well, I got up around 2 to go to the restroom. I was fine. Then I got up in agony at 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't remember this precise time. It was just after 3. And my right knee was hurting really bad. And the pinky knuckle and the ring finger knuckle on my right hand were hurting. I couldn't figure out what happened. Still don't know what happened. Something. But I limped in here and sat and woke up and decided to, take care of the reading. And then, and this reading was done the prior day. I'm trying to remember the exact time frame. But anyway, so yesterday, very strange. I got done with the reading yesterday morning, and this reading got put off from the night before because I was busy helping Nell with, he was having streaming problems with his tarot readings. And so this reading was done in the morning, and the day, so between 3 and the time that I did this reading at 5:55 a.m., I spent just trying to get my knee to quit hurting and trying to get woke up. So it was really strange. I got a pop-up on my phone. It was a news item about a shooting that happened in Kansas City, Missouri. Like I told you, that's where I'm from, Kansas City, Missouri. And I know people there. And the address area was close, uncomfortably so, to someone that I know. So I pulled up Google Maps to look at that particular area, the address of where the shooting happened. And when I did that, this was sticking out like a sore thumb to me. Mount Moriah Cemetery. And the shooting itself happened over in this area. And I was sitting here looking at that, and this was just screaming at me. Well, this cemetery is the family cemetery. For those of you that don't know it, Mount Moriah is where the Temple of the Mount's at. It's the most highly contested piece of real estate on the planet, because all these religions stake claim to it. What fascinates me is all these religions are all worshiping Anunnaki gods. Do they know they're all brothers and sisters? As I said, no matter what your religion, no matter what your beautiful shades of brown are, you're all brothers and sisters. You're all Anunnaki. All of you. Are there possible other ET races involved? I'm sure. I've had contact with a few of them myself, so I wouldn't doubt that. But of the masses on this planet, you are brothers and sisters. The people that have been running the planet didn't want you to know that, and they wanted you to fight each other. Thing is, you're killing each other for nothing. You're actually brother and sister. You're merely each worshiping a different Anunnaki god. So that needs to stop. Like I said, the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment, the apocalypse. It's time for you all to stop fighting and see through the illusion. An illusion created by someone that has a lot to answer to. Certain someones. As I said, Moses has a lot of explaining to do. Indeed. But, and that's just from my intuition, my gut inside told me that. Something told me that I needed to be about Moses. Something very wrong. Anyway, those of you that visited Farsight Institute's website and saw the remote viewing of Moses got a little additional information on him. You also probably got an earful, a surprising earful, about Gabriel, aka Zeus, aka Enlil. Anyway, so all these people are battling their brothers and sisters. As I said, you're all beautiful, beautiful shades of brown. You're unique individuals, and you're gorgeous in your own unique, specific way. And instead of fearing each other for those differences, you should be celebrating it. But some very nasty ones have been playing you for a fool. I intend to remedy that issue, or at least I hope to. So, back to Mount Moriah, the family cemetery. I've been researching some details about the family cemetery with some very surprising answers. I always suspected I had Jewish ancestry because some of my autoimmune disorders only occur in Eastern European Jewish bloodlines. Fascinating, because it turns out Mount Moriah is a Jewish cemetery. Yeah. Fascinating, right? So I scrolled down and I was like, oh wow. The last time I was here was when I was a small child. Age 5 or 4, maybe a little less. Very young. And I was like, oh wow, it's been so many years since I've been there. I think I may have visited this place once around age 9 or 10 again. Not the mausoleum, but the back here around the lake. One of my ancestors is buried here. I've got them buried outside and inside. So I just happened to start scrolling in and checking it out, and we're going to do this together. So here's the cemetery. Mount Moriah. Notice the symbols here on the entry gate on either side. Notice the vase with the veil hanging down, the palm frond, a cornerstone with the scroll, and a laurel wreath. There's some symbolism here too, but I couldn't quite see what they were. Looks like a possible eagle here. Not sure here. Notice also, when you go back to this view, these are different views taken at different times of the year. Here it is really green. And then one more picture over and you see it in the spring. Look what we have here. Cherry trees. Cherry blossoms, right? Just like in Washington, D.C., the city, the District of Columbia, the cherry trees, the story about George Washington cutting down the cherry tree, all the cherry trees that are around the monuments there, that, yeah, you get the drift. Anyway, a row of cherry trees all the way down the center here. And there's some here too, some younger ones planted. Anyway, I started going up the driveway. And I noticed this heart monument. Well, you know who that is. Mary Magdalene and her son. And a heart-shaped monument. I was like, okay, that's gorgeous. And I came up closer and closer. And these bushes, if you zoom out, repeat the motif off that front fence that I pointed out on either side of the Mount Moriah. You see the American flag there. And you scroll in, and look what we have here. They were telling me to look for this cemetery. They wanted me to see this. It was on those cards on the tarot reading that I did. The death and resurrection, the reaper and the necromancer, and then that bereaved with this symbol on it, and the two scarab beetles. They wanted me to see that because they wanted me to see this. The Annunaki symbolism, right? Ancient Egypt as well. Two sphinxes on either side, and look what's right here. Freemasons. That's the compass. And I was blown away. I was like, as a child, I was in that very building with no idea about the symbolism. Didn't even, I don't recall. I may have noticed the sphinxes, but I did not notice some other symbolism going on. So I'm just like completely blown away. And you have the two obelisks, the two pillars, right? Either side. Then I got to looking, and I was in this building. We have family inside here. And I got to looking at the grounds, and something stopped me dead in my tracks. What's this on top of the building? It's a pyramid with an entrance. Now remember what I told you, my family is part of my family members started the Kansas City Star. You know what the star represents? It's the goddess. My family knew. They knew. I wish they were alive now to tell me what's going on. But they knew about the goddess. Or they wouldn't have named their newspaper the Kansas City Star. And all the symbolism. Now let me try to get this map to another view. We're going to go down and try to come at an angle. It appears there's an obelisk here. And you start going back in the park. Look at that. A tower. Just like the tower card in the tarot. Yeah, symbolism. There's lots of symbolism here. Great deal. Remember, this is a Jewish cemetery. So, here's some pictures that I found online that, let me back this up, it starts here. This is the inside of what they call the temple. That building with all of the Egyptian symbolism is called the temple. And the inscription on this, eternal light for eternal rest. Masonic Mausoleum at Mount Moriah and Freeman Cemetery in Kansas City, Missouri. Notice the motif here. Symbolism. There you go. Obelisk. There's a cornerstone here. This shaft bears the names of those who have made possible the building of Mount Moriah and is dedicated to the memory of departed Masons and their relatives. This is at the base of that obelisk. The front of the museum with the motif. The Annunaki, Egyptian. The compass, Freemason compass. That's the temple at Mount Moriah. There you go. The big G and the symbolism on the front over the door. The two serpents, sun disk, and the wings. Mount Moriah Temple, dedicated May 1928. The architect was Robert E. Pendon. This is inside the temple. It's just beautiful. I remember this part. Look at the orb right here. on this photograph. Somebody's hanging around. Indeed. More on the inside of the temple. This is to William Kuhn. Skilled physician, illustrious citizen, distinguished Mason. His ritualistic work, his writings, and his tender heart constantly inspired his fellows to higher ideals. Inside of the pyramid, someone's hanging about. Orb caught on the photo. Somebody's there. The symbolism all over that photo. See? That's the inside, the inside of the pyramid that you saw from the outside on the top of the building. Notice no capstone. Notice the symbolism, once again, all over this gate. Beautiful stained glass. I'm going to be taking a field trip to Mount Moriah sometime soon and take some pictures for myself of my family members that are here inside the temple. These gates are just, look at that. Beautiful work. Great pains were taken in the work on these. That's where those that are cremated are put. And I have some relatives there as well. Inside the temple, some of the cremated ones. And then there's others that are in crypts like this. So, anyway, Mount Moriah. This video shows kind of an overhead view of Mount Moriah. And the skyline of Kansas City. This was built, when this was built, Kansas City had not spread out to where Mount Moriah was. Mount Moriah was out in the country outside of the city. You can clearly see the pyramid on the outside. That temple is stunning. It's a massive building. See? Back that up. Here we go, real slowly. See? It literally is made just like the pyramids, stone by stone. See the stones? I'm just completely, and see, there's the entrance. And you can see the inner part of this from the inside of the building, but there's an outer exterior, evidently, because there's a door to get to it. So that reading was telling me what I was getting ready to do. I was looking for my Holy Grail, and it would be about death and resurrection and the beetles, the Egyptian symbology. And some details about the cemetery. So the readings are definitely giving me some guidance, direction that I'm supposed to be going on this quest of mine, where I'm picking up the breadcrumbs about why I'm talking with Gabriel and Adonai, aka Inky and Enlil, Zeus and Poseidon, whatever you choose to call them. They go by Gabriel and Adonai with me, so I suppose that might be what you might call them. But I wanted to do this video. It was funny because when I first started looking at the Google Maps and noticed the Egyptian symbolism and things, I had just put out a cigarette. A couple of minutes prior to that, and Nell had walked in here, or this is just before he walked in here, and all of a sudden I was kind of twisted to my side because I was trying not to move my knee, and this was a good 2 minutes after I had put out my cigarette. My left leg started burning. Keep in mind, my left leg was the furthest away from the ashtray. Somehow, a small ember ended up on my left leg. I could not tell you how that happened, because this burning sensation didn't start till a couple of minutes later. So it didn't make any sense. And I brushed my leg really quick and brushed off the little ember. And then Nell came in. I told him what was going on. I showed him the temple building and Mount Moriah. And all of a sudden, I started feeling something between my toes on my left foot, between my big toe and the toe next to it. In, you know, that little webbing area between your two toes. And I'm like, what is on my foot? And I accidentally smashed it because I was trying to dig it out, because it was like trying to, you know, hide in between that little area. And it was a small, tiny, round beetle. And that freaked me out. I'm like, okay, yeah, the beetles in the reading, I got 2 of them, remember? And I was like, oh my gosh, no. I'm in the house and I've got a beetle between my toes suddenly. Where did that come from? Then the day just got weirder because I was, researching. And then later on, a second beetle on my right leg. And I looked down and I was like, oh my gosh. And I kind of, moved my leg and knocked it off. And it flew right back onto my leg again. And it was a little black beetle, which we escorted back outside. A little black beetle with red legs. But the one that was between my toes was really tiny. It was like the shape of a ladybug, but much smaller. So two totally different types of beetles, but two beetles in that reading. And for some reason, I pointed that out. My inside told me to mention it on that reading I did. Now remember what I told you. I started that reading at 555. It was interesting because I got a code because I was speaking with a friend of mine. And I got the code 1116 while I was talking to her. Very fascinating code. Because it's talking about what's going on. Supernatural phenomenon. It's talking about YHVH, answer and master frequency, pure uncut diamonds, harmonic 33. You know the Freemasons, 33, right? Supernatural phenomena. The book outside the circle of time. What can I do? Reject Lucifer. Alien knowledge. Self-imposed hypnosis. Austin, last messenger. Cannot foresee his lightning strikes. Linus tattoo Christmas. And it's interesting because if I'm indeed who they keep telling me that I am, which apparently is definitely looking that direction, they're telling me to tattoo Christmas. And what's fascinating is other people, like I've shown you, are getting messages with the numbers. And Sekhmet, the lioness, right? Tattoo Christmas. And one of them says something will happen in December. December 21st through December 25th. And they're saying lioness, tattoo Christmas. Dream waker, psychological operation, death invocation. Human Islamism, there is no coincidence. Key to Solomon belongs to the one, YHSYK, Key of Solomon belongs to happily a dragonfly. Painful memories from so long ago. Curious or morbid curiosity. I am that I am, and I am a little crazy. Jesus and Anna. That fascinated me because several times now I've been pointed in the direction of this. Jesus and Anna. Anyway, they're talking about the morbid curiosity and what they were speaking of in this is about me looking here. And that's why the death and resurrection card was in the reading. along with the other symbolism inside the reading. They wanted me to look at this. And the name Mount Moriah. And some of my history that I was sort of aware of, but not as much as I am now. Anyway, one thing that was interesting is, remember, I started that reading at 555. I made note of it. And it's talking about the pyramids, bad energy. You saw the pyramid on top of the building. There's a lot in this code that's trying to tell me what's getting ready to happen. And the secret wisdom. Holy King of Israel. Yeah, where the mount happens to be, right? Mount Moriah. Jesus reincarnated. Please do visit the code. There's a great deal more to it. A great deal. I'm not going to go over it now. The 11th hour, indeed, a sleeping prophet. But I'm scrolling down. God's warrior angel. Fly me to the moon. Right after that, indicating the goddess, right? As it is written, the sword of Ha Adonai. The highest angel bride. Love what you do. Anyway, let me find it. "555. Time to take America back." The Day of Atonement. Jesus, mathematics, the secret wisdom. Time to take America back. Holy King of Israel. Israel. I am the help you need. Jesus reincarnated. I'll wait for you. Victoria's Secret. So the reading done at 555, they wanted me definitely just to see that. Time to take America back. Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. The Founding Fathers. George Washington was a Mason. He knew this. They designed that city after the goddess. And I told you about the Twin Towers in New York City going down and a single one going up. And at the same time, a single one going up in the UK called the Shard. I also got the code yesterday of 1212. So you might want to take a look at that. That might stick out a bit. They're the ones that have used dark magic and treated you like cattle and had you fighting among yourselves so you wouldn't look their direction. Here's something that crossed my mind. My son, I'm a C. Remember, I told you all this is about your genetics and what they've been doing to you to try to stop the awakening, because they knew when Sleeping Beauty awoke, the kingdom awoke. It was in Walt Disney's films. They used dark magic and other things to try to keep you all from waking. Genetically, they are your brothers and sisters, but they are treating you like cattle and they see you as subhuman. You are not their slaves. Not anymore. I ponder how much the Masons really know and how much I can probably enlighten them. And if you paid any attention to what I was telling you, to pay attention to what Robert Seffer's putting up on his channel, Atlantean Gardens. Remember, he talks about a specific genetic pool that is not lactose intolerant. Fascinating, because the only thing I'm not allergic to on this planet that I've been tested for is milk. Dairy. Kitty cats do love milk. Indeed. Twin angels. Artemis and Apollo. You know, I talked about my son's genetics. He's a combination. His father's deceased, by the way. He passed in January of 2019, January 24th. That number might be significant for any of you interested in running numbers. His father was an A129AC. I'm a C677T. There's two bloodlines. And when I married Nell, he's also a A1298C. That is the joining of the two bloodlines. The twin angels, Apollo and Artemis. The children of Enlil, Gabriel. Yep. That thought occurred to me today. I was like, you know, it's like the story of Romeo and Juliet, where the two families, warring families, didn't want them together. But in the end they are, right? Nell's family is from Germany and France. A1298C. So will that create peace now? Uriel and Ariel, the twin angels, Apollo and Artemis. Another incarnation of the goddess. Anyway, so be my guest. Look at these two codes for those of you that are interested in the gematria and what they're trying to tell me. code 1116 and 1212. And I did get the code 444 this evening for anybody interested in looking at that. But this is one of a multi-part video dealing with my family line. And you know, I already showed the... Oh, I wanted to show you one other thing that really blew my mind. This, when I was doing the search, here's the obelisk here, and there's a sundial there as well. I was scrolling down through these different pictures of Mount Moriah, and something really popped out at me, and I wanted to show you this, because those of you that have been following me know that the name Nemesis in Arcadia are something that came out of my subconscious. And I know that there's 2 ships named that. Ones I designed. This popped out at me like a sore thumb. Garner, graveside services for Mrs. Lena Darnold Garner of Arcadia, California, will be held 11 o'clock Wednesday at Mount Moriah Cemetery in Kansas City. There we go with the Arcadia connection yet again. You know there's an Arcadia in Missouri too. This person was in Arcadia, California and buried in Mount Moriah, Kansas City. They wanted me to see this. I don't know why. Perhaps down the road I'll find out why they wanted me to see that. But that's just, that popped off the page at me. There's a picture of the tower. At Mount Moriah. The 4 brothers, I'm guessing. But I think a field trip's in order. I still need to go to Ash Cave too. I promised St. Ambrose that I would put some of his ashes there, because something led me to Star City. So that will be another field trip. That one probably sooner than later. But like I said, this is going to be a multi-part series on my family line and what I'm discovering. It's important to me just because I'm trying to understand why I've got Gabriel and Ned and I, and why I'm on this quest. Like I said, it feels like a fire burning inside of me that I can't stop until I find out the answers. And hopefully it helps enlighten you all at the same time, so that you guys realize what's really going on. And maybe it'll get you all to maybe check into your family histories. Because no matter what your skin color is, we're all related. For sure. Anyway, some of you might have found this boring. I hope not. I hope you, I hope this entices you to do a little digging of your own. But there's a lot more to come on this. A lot more. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll pass the stars, the moon, the stars. I'll pass beyond everything. We are family. Yep. Indeed. My husband's peeking through the window at me. Anyway, take care. More videos to come for sure.